Welcome to the channel. This is Reliable Rudy. Getting set up over here. Got 6 minutes till the open. Almost good. Let's make sure the mic is working. Mic's working, that's a plus. You guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Everything in this live stream and this video is me simply sharing my opinion, nothing more, nothing less. Entertainment purposes only, guys. Uh, yeah, that being said, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. I'm going to make mistakes. We're going to try and learn from the mistakes, and we're going to try and get better every day. We're doing what we love to do here. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world than sitting right here in my spot, getting ready for the market open in 5 minutes. So that being said, we just left the title the same. We took ATHM off, but I do think that ATHM is still reasonably trading inside of the channel, and it's going to be interesting to see it trade this sort of channel that we had set. We've seen a couple false breaks of it yesterday. Is the channel set perfectly? Probably not. There's probably 100 different ways, just tiny variations that you could set this. And still trying to hold strength on our 15-minute chart, getting a gap down. Off of a gap down like this, I'd expect 130s to be resistance, sort of like a flat bottom break kind of. It's trying to hold and boom, gaps down. So if this can continue the hold, I want to see it retrace up and try to fill that gap, and then show me respect to this trend line. And then a reclaim of those 130s could be some potential, but you are probably going to have some sort of downtrend built with that. 4 minutes to go over these last few names. So we got GM. We left GM up there just because it's going to be interesting if we get this 34 break. We kind of tried breaking it early and then we reject it. I don't know if it's ready. It might need to trade back down and just, yeah, I would say it probably has some sort of a trend line build. I would say this is probably a neckline. You try to set this little double bottom short term and then catches a bid. Try to get over 34s. It might even need to come back down to this 32 range where unbelievable that we missed 32 flats twice. Both times just extremely close to that. Rivian. Gave up this first trend line. You can see it was trying to act with it. It just was never able to catch a bid. But I'd say this is a more solidified trend line. If this does alert us, let's just put this alert down here for these pretty much our original orders that we had over back in this little U build right here. So the longs are trying to hold this price. I'd say this was a beautiful sort of entry. And if I was going to say where a golden entry was, we can just mark that gap. You can see, boom, and a retest. So down here in these low 23s, I am going to be interested. And SoFi, at work yesterday, I got alerted on the 880. Getting a gap up, is it going to mean anything? I don't know. I like the daily chart with this setup. I think it has a reasonable sort of ascending channel, and flirting around that middle ground. If this can, we have the increasing volume, and now looking at this, you can see the decreasing volume on the day that still had left a larger red engulfing candle. So if this wants to get rejected in this range, you guys know if I was looking at a 15-minute chart right here where we got this move up and it left a candle like this, I would expect selling pressure. So if it closes a candle underneath of this 9 the following day, which is a Friday, you got to be ready for that stair step action down. If that gives us that stair step action, bottom of this candle, start of the gap is potential area where we can think about adding more if we really believed in it, but then you got the gap and trend line as protection. So a couple different areas. This could be your truer buy window. So testing the orders up here off these 80s, which is what we bought yesterday. it might not be able to hold, but if it does and it can reclaim nines, I really like the catalyst for a push through the 9 level. And that's everything. I'd say oil is very continuing the stair step higher. We've talked about it. I mean, this setup has nothing but continuation written all over it. Now we're testing these 90s. So if it's able to get over top of these 90s, the next thing that we really have marked, there's nothing really inside of this. Maybe a couple tops into like 91s. But I mean, there's nothing really there except for this double top right here. And even looking at this as a retracement, I would say you're through your retracements decisively on this consolidation period from, this is the end of 22 to now. So, I mean, we're looking at a year's worth of data right here, and it's cleared out through the retracement of that period. It would only lead me to think that we're going to push into these 90s. And we do have an open Rivian crossing over. So let's go take a look over at Rivian. Trading down towards this area. Let's try and get some orders out for 23.15. And let's see if we can add a little bit of size to this. So we're going to try an order. Let's just get a little bit more size added off of 23. We'll go 16s. We'll add an extra penny there. If that can fill, we like it. If it gets closer down to this trend line, I like it. So let's just put an alert off of those 16s where we put our order at. And let's look at some of these other movers. MSOM, still trying to catch a bid. Geo catching a bid off the open, gaps up. End phase into the downtrend. ATHM showing a gap up originally. Let's look at that daily chart. I like this setup right there. ATHM, we didn't talk about it. DFS, BABA. BABA, we did, before we left the live stream yesterday, we said we were putting orders off those 60s. It was waiting to see if we got triggered off of those 60s. Got darn close. Now given a gap up. I would say that I love the risk reward trade off of this trend line, and I think it's reasonable. Soundtown, where are we going to put the stop today? Let's go down another penny. Let's go 19s on this Soundtown trade. If 19s stop us out, it is what it is. 2 19s. Looking at some top movers for the day. GMBL, top mover for today. Actually gapping up over top of this. Actually not a half bad look. The daily chart's been trading sideways long enough. You can see a potential little descending channel that's gapping through right here. So actually not a half bad look. I never thought I'd really say that leading into the open today. I didn't see this was trending. But not a terrible look, and already 14 mil in volume. It's getting a lot of looks. Is this something that's going to be able to hold above that flat top? That's actually a pretty darn good look. Rivian, ooh, 19s, Rivian catching a bid. Not a half bad look right there. Devon, dividend day getting a gap up. I would say over top of 51s, you're going to have to deal with a downtrend, but over 51s could be a start. ATHM over top of the neckline as of right now. End phase showing some strength. If this can get over 24s, which is what we said yesterday, we'll believe it a little bit more, but I'm not sold on anything until we truly get over 32s. BTI testing with that neckline. If this can push, I'd say your breakout levels are up here at these 34s. Soundtown trying to catch a bid. ATHM decisively through these 410s. Oh boy. Oh boy. Man, we've been super patient with this name. Trading inside of this channel. PayPal decisively through these highs. I'd say this is probably a continuation by flirting with this neckline. I would say if I was somebody that didn't have a position in PayPal, I would be this is getting ready. This is potential nut up or shut up candle that's getting ready to come in here. ATHM decisively over holding above 30s. Is it time? Are we ready for us to finally get our break on ATHN that we've been pretty patient for? BAC, we said 29.25. We go up as high as 29.24s. So pretty darn close there. You can see the sideways action actually trying to flirt with this sort of downtrend through it a little bit, but nothing decisive yet. Jets ETF, this is going to be getting very close to a potential ad for us. We think that some of the airlines have a lot of bad press. You know, some of the news that I've read yesterday was, oh, oil prices, oh, price cuts or forecast cuts because of oil. Music to my ears. I love hearing negative news. I love it. I love it. I love it. Push the price down. Do whatever you can to push that price down. But the Jets ETF, we added it up here. We are going to keep our eyes on it, but we did get a gap up after testing this little area right here. There's a sneaky little gap that just gets filled on the money right there. So if we see downward pressure, this 1750 range is going to be getting hammered. And full disclosure, we have small positions in AAL and DAL. We took absolute monstrous moves in both of the names, and we really haven't started buying either of them back. But you know, another name, SoFi, really catching a bid decisively through these nines. So if this can catch a bit higher, we like the SoFi position that we built over the last couple days. Brand new position for you guys. Built every fill has been taken off of the live stream. So you know, it's nice to build positions off the live stream. ATHM, the large name down, you can see buying pressure off those 25s, but getting a negative break here and looking at our daily chart for ATHM, you can see this is a big price zone that's going to need to hold. One, it's the body candle open of Tuesday. I know that might not sound like much, but I'd say it's a big day for ATHM. We'll be able to find out some information, but you can see the gap down. You can see the previous lows marked right before that gap. DFS, a nice 2% day. You can start to see the picture play out where we said on this particular day, hey, it's leaving a nice wick. If it can hold this price right here, and oh man, this is really starting to set up a reasonable look. Here is your 87.30 gap. Doesn't fill, doesn't fill, doesn't fill, doesn't fill, doesn't fill. Does this need to get rejected? I'm sure you have some sort of downtrend right here, but you can see the catalyst of, hey, we confirm a low, we break this downtrend, and here's your neckline break. Over 92s is going to be very enticing buy. But honestly, here is your picture. If we just trade sideways in this range, as soon as we decisively break over 93s, or maybe even 95s, you want to call it, you got a lot of room up to those hundreds. But a really nice look. Looking around, looking around, looking around. Let's look at some of these top movers. GMBL still trying to hold this, leaving a little bit of a death candle. I call it a death candle. That just gives you the look. It shows you the red volume. How does it act if this retraces back down? Let's just start with an alert here off of 13s. 10, catching a bid. I was waiting for the day this caught a bid. Gaps up over top of a neckline. Decent look. Nothing's up over 10%. What's going to be our top mover of the day? Can we find the top mover? Lumen, actually a pretty good look right here. Traded sideways enough over the last few days. Weak name, but right around the 150 range. Does that get rejected? MRO flirting with the highs. I bet if we go over the oil, we can see why it's flirting with the highs. Oil testing up to those 90s. Mr. Drift, how we doing, brother? Good to have you in on the stream. I would say to just get you caught up, Drift, I would say SoFi, we're going to be getting in the realm of profit takes if this gets up to 915s. We did get an 880 fill. Honestly, if we wanted to take trims, we just put orders right off that gap up. But holding nines here on SoFi, you can see the catalyst where here's your 925s and here's where we marked originally where we're looking for our first profit takes on the name. End phase, rejecting this downtrend a little bit, so probably still needs some time. But if this were to get over 124s, I think you're going to see some attempts to get this price pushed up. Previous lows up to 116, and you got some resistance up here. If you look at it as a retracement, probably meets up pretty well. There's your 702, there's your 618. ATHM, we're waiting for this to finally get out of the range. You can see where our alert has just stayed. Boom, have the alert in. Doesn't trigger down to the T, but we had orders in off those 29s. Never got the fills on those orders. FVR, notable move here off of this trend line. You got a clean neckline break. We talked about the neckline break here. Well, now there's your rejection retest of the trend line. If this gets over 30, it's a clean 30 break where I think FVR could catch a bid if it really wanted to start pushing. And then ASTS, my bad. Right at those 410s, you can see that previous low that's rejected. It's really flirting with it. We put a nice candle close to this sort of neckline break here. Indecision candle leaves a close with a beautiful wick. So this one, we talked about it early in the day where we're not sold that it's the same buyers that are coming in here. But now that I can see the volume close, the volume looks like it's increased red volume. This is relatively higher volume, and I know it might be tough to see, but you see this consolidation period. These are all days of under a mil in volume. You leave a wick like this, buyers are trying to push this name up where, you got a little bit more resistance here off these 20s, which it hasn't got there yet. So we can think about maybe some trims into that level, but if this does want to end up panning out, that 475 break is really what we want to be holding for. Soundhound, we moved that alert or that stop loss down to 19s, so they're gonna get another penny out of me, Drift, if that ends up triggering me. But Rivian, decisive move. We're waiting for this to pick a direction. When you see just price action hold, you see this nice sideways but ascending little look like that. If this gives us a red candle or a green candle through this, we are going to be looking for like a significant pump day. But same thing for the other way. When you see tight channels, when they break, they're going to decisively break if the buying or selling cannot hold it up or down. But a nice move here on Rivian, and we actually have a buy order off of Rivian. Before on this chart we had this set, we're respecting this, respect. Well, it kind of broke down, but then we just took that off and said, hey, let's put the order in, and this is where our order was at. Got very close off the open, so that's unfortunate, but we did reload back to the original size on the position. Wasn't able to get an extra add. But I would say a nice green candle off of increased volume. 2 minutes left on this candle. Let's see if this can push top end where we have some clear resistance levels. So in these 24s, we can think top end of the channel. If we pull back into the middle of the move, so let's just hypothetically say we reject right here. Middle of the move, or this 618 to 702 is right around that 2350 to 2360. If we get a trim up here, we're going to be reloading in that area. So that's the plan with Rivian. PayPal rejecting originally. Honestly, there's a lot of time left in this candle. This is flirting with that price, getting very close to that positive break. If I was a guy without a position in this name, I would be very interested off of this gap. And I might even be interested in adding that gap today if it gets down there. But a lot of time left in the day. It's showing some rejection off the open. But if this were to start wicking and catching a bid, if it gets a day high break, this could be getting ready to go, where it might not be too long before we're talking about this name in the 70s retracing up. Personally, I don't know if I can't tell the future, obviously, but I would say I'd be very bullish on the name. But I mean, other than that, I mean, drift. We can talk about Baba. Retracing back down, I still think if it comes back in line with this trend line, uh, we're on the bid at 60s. Those 60s never came in. Set to close very close. But if it comes back into this trend line, I'm gonna respect it for the live stream. Actually, pretty much just for you, and just show you an example of uh, how important this level is to hold and why we think it's okay to add to our position, because we just feel the risk reward from this area is very good. Is it going to pan out? I don't know. Geo, continuing to hold this 7 range. I mean, the risk reward from this level, if it gets underneath 7, I think you're going to see a flush. We keep talking about 750s as being a breakout level. We got to decisively see it above 750. You can't just wick above it. We got to see it close above 750. If we get a close above 750, first retracements I believe are at 825s, 823 I'm guessing. Let's guess. I should have stuck with the first one. 826, but we're going to be looking for outs in the 8s. And if this wants to be a retracement period, you can see that 382 direct correlation with it. That's right at our 9 level. We can play 950. And then full retracement, I would say this 618. Nice low flat bottom break, tries to retest once, so up into this range. If we are to catch a bid up there, we're looking at 42% potential return. So not a half bad look there. And I don't know if you were here for the beginning drift, but the Jets ETF is a new one that we added up here. It's an ETF. If this gets down to that 1750, we've talked about airlines. We have our AAL position. We have our DAL position. We have we had really good positions when the airlines were really moving. You can see the Jets ETF is very similar, but coming all the ways back in, is there a reason to see this, try the hold? Let's see it catch a bid, show me that it respects this trend line, and then the retest of this trend line, we are going to start readdressing. This is right back into our original entry off AAL, where we actually did have fills. Right around this 13 level. We're playing this like a trend line over here. Same thing, showed us the bid, respect the trend line. I think some of these airlines names, the news is already starting to be very, 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 very late. Late. We're just seeing this week, oh, increased oil prices. Oh, these airlines are slashing their forecast. Ha! Ha! They're just noticing that oil is elevated and the airlines are down 30% from their year-to-date highs. Yes, music to my ears. Let the news start coming in. The news follows. Perfect example of a potential time where the news is following the price action. How long has oil been trending? Let's just compare oil and airlines. Oil, airlines, oil, airlines, and we're just now hearing the news start to correlate to it. Yeah, music to my ears. I'm very, very intrigued with the airlines. This is why you don't see me looking at news or taking any regard to news, because the news is going to catch the common eye, the average. Music to my ears now that I start seeing it. Even if this were to push down into these lower, I'm very interested in this level for some of the airlines, and looking at the earnings reports, even if they are cutting forecasts, we're talking about $1.87 gap EPS. As long as there's not potential lawsuits, litigation, anything like that, even if they're cutting their forecasts, even if they only put up 61 cents, this is trading at a significant discount in my humble opinion. If we can get this price into the lower double digits, I'm all for it against strength, and we're gonna try it. But looking elsewhere, that's just I love it. I love it. I love it. But looking around, BAC decisively over top of 25s. We talked and we said we want to see it over 25s. Can we continue to catch a bit higher? SoFi rejecting 9s. That's all right. Um, Devon, dividend day. Dividend will come through on September 29th. But you can see the sort of stair-step look. You can see the coil pattern for a potential bear flag. You have the increased selling pressure, a nice red candle. We're looking for this price to get us back down into these 49s, maybe 49.50s. We're going to start getting some orders out there. But it looks like everything's kind of flushing down a little bit. ATHM is holding those 25s. Holding 25s. GM catching a little bit of resistance. Kind of what I expected. This was a hard rejection of these 34s, traded down and rejecting the lows. You see how we set this low? Flat bottom, boom, and then retest. So GM, we are going to be interested probably around this 33 flat, but we're going to play this trend line and try to get some more. We missed 32s twice. So let's see if we can maybe get a little bit added into those 33s. And if we trade down, 32s is going to get bought, and we really like this 31.50 gap. So we're going to play that accordingly as it transpires. Looking at some top movers, GMBL still surprisingly holding this. It's left an indecision candle on this first candle, it looks like. Yes, sir, it did. So if it takes out this low, you're going to see a red engulfing candle, and you're going to see it try to catch a bid and build this sort of descending channel. If I had to guess, let's just randomly mark a channel like this and see if it can hold. Now, if it holds this wick low, I would say over a 15 break. Could potentially be an area that catches a bid, and if it does catch a bid and leaves a green engulfing candle, this is probably going to be one that churns all the ways up today. So could be a potential, but we like how it gapped up. You know, I would have never expected this, honestly, but you can see how it gaps up. You had a descending channel gapping up. Your strength is getting closer to that positive break, but decisively higher volume coming into the stock and decisively higher today. So if it leaves a candle without retracing down to this gap, I would say potentially a bullish move is incoming for GMBL. Potentially. Soundtown looks like, oh my gosh, 220s is the low. If 220s holds and doesn't fill my stop loss at 19s after we just moved it down 1 penny, that would be damn impressive. But this is going to stop us out. We're ready to get stopped out of this name. Can we get stopped out of this name? Is it possible to get stopped out of this name? I think somebody's watching my live stream. Drift, are you holding this price up above my stop loss? Is that what's going on? You got the liquidity like that? I'm just kidding. I would not buy this drift. I would not. Giving you a very good look. You can see the small frowny face being made where I'm looking for a price to just shoom, dump down. I'm just going to double check and see if we got stopped out of this. And it's still holding. I can't even believe that. But it looks like some names are catching some resistance. The BAC decisively through that neckline now. Rivian rejecting 24s, it looks like. MSOS. I'm not sold that the move is over yet. I'm not sold. I'm not sold that this is done pushing higher. We're going to be looking for 10s. Baba coming on in, testing towards this trend line. Now at the day's close, and let's actually red engulfing. Let's just see it catch a bid first and see it just start wicking into this area before we try it. But this is actually getting a little bit iffy. Red engulfing on decent volume. Let's see what the tape's looking like here. but we said that we would. So let's just go add a little bit to the bob ski. We're gonna add right there, right into the trend line. So we added our baba. We feel the risk reward is very decent right here. If this can just wick into this area and close this candle above this gap, I'd be a lot more intrigued with it. But we said that we would, so we did this for you, Drift. I think this is a very good risk reward trade. And I am not looking at it as a trade. Those shares I bought, even if it goes past my risk reward, I would say that I'm going to be holding it. But I think it's a reasonable long, and you can see the buying pressure coming in right off that. So let's see where that fill came in. We got 59s. 59s is 4 pennies off the low. I know it's expensive. I know maybe higher price stock is kind of hard to play with, but I think the value here is unmatched, and I think the return potential with this name is extremely good, in my humble opinion. But you can see it's holding a price above that gap up. So if it can close this candle with an even larger wick than what it has right now, I'd be very happy with it. But you know, the red engulfing look isn't the greatest. But live for the stream. Soundhound, did it get down in the 19s? Did it stop me out there? I seen it back down to the 20s. Unbelievable. Is it going to try and get me to put this stop loss down one more penny? Do we dare give any more money back on this name? I mean, this is going to stop us. Surprisingly holding 22s. I can't even believe it. SoFi red engulfing through the first candle. Probably a bearish look. Now let's just look at an index. NASDAQ retraced all the ways back down to the gap. Probably has some sort of trend line built right there. Is it going to be able to hold that price? But you can see the coil period. This retraces right at that last retracement. So if this trend line can't hold, I'd say back down to the lows 15. Could be seeing some volatility in the NASDAQ names. ARM, I know that's an IPO today. We're going to keep our eyes on ARM. I know that's going to get a lot of attention. But I'd say this 90. Are we going to get a 90 break on oil? Alibaba now holding as a green candle, so a nice little add to the position there. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be sold on anything just yet. I mean, it's just early. It's just the very first tap of that support. But we'll see. I think it's a reasonable add. BAC, very strong move. This is what I was talking about with the GMBL, where you have that indecision candle. If it gives you the red engulfing through it, boom, you're expecting gap. If it gives you the green engulfing through it, boom, you're expecting a nice pop up and actually increased volume. BAC, a decisive move. I'd say this looks good for a long, even if you're just trading. This previous low gap or flat bottom break down to 30, 50. I wouldn't be surprised to see this make a push up to those 30s today. We'll see though. We'll see. Rivian continuing to catch a bid. You can see the buying pressure coming in the middle of that green candle. Exactly what we'd expect. But just marking just where we want to reload after we get trims on it up here. If it would have pulled back down to this same area, you see the buying pressure coming in right there. Right off, we marked that live, right? Just a flat bottom, breaks it down, rejects it. Now a retest. As it pushes it, and now supports it. So very good look. Geo showing a continuation candle. Is this going to be one that churns and then catches a bid even higher off of 750? We like that the banks are strong because of SoFi position. We said it was red engulfing. Well, we had time for this candle to work itself out. Now you can see the buying holding it above those 890s is a really good look. GMBL retracing all the ways back down. This is exactly what we're talking about. Indecision candle. Is it going to push higher? It didn't. Boom. As soon as it takes out this low, we can watch and look and see how it transpired. Flirted with the lows. Boom. Actually trying to hold that. But a pretty good example of just how you can see the price action transpire off of one single candle. That's all we needed. Soundhound, unbelievable that it is holding that price. Nikola, actually not a half bad look on Nikola. It's not something that I'd trade late, be late to the party on, but decisively, and even if you looked at this as a neckline break, because you get the gap fill, it retraces up, so we gap down, retraces up, fills that gap. Now when it reclaims that price, the 91, we gotta look left to the chart to see what that 91 means. Right at 91s. Boom. Now it's reclaimed it. Is it going to retrace up to the previous low? I'd say maybe $1 retest. I can see it's wicking up towards that area already. Stem still trading sideways in that range. Let's look at BBIO. What's that doing? Unbelievable. We should have this 28 long still. I can't even believe that wick yesterday. Can't even believe it. Humma continuing to reject that area tight onto this trend line. I'd say risk reward here isn't half bad. You can run out underneath the 60s. So looking at, if you wanted to run just this support level right there at 65s to 64s, so looking at 12 cents of risk for a potential 4 break. So just to your breakout level, right here at 75s, you're looking at 8% to your sort of breakout, maybe even 10%, maybe even if you want to hear 14% potential for your breakout price, and a risk of 3%. So risk reward from this area, 3%. We're looking at 4.5 to 5 to 1 from your breakout. If you get that breakout, I mean, your potential for top end of the channel is definitely there, where you're looking at over 10 to 1 risk reward here on this Humma. So does this need a little bit more time to kind of work itself out? But even if it does get underneath those 60s, you have your gap fill down here. And Alibaba, just looking back towards it, coming right back in. Let's see if this trend line can hold. You can see the catalyst for a double bottom. Is it going to be able to hold this price? Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Drift's a market maker. My bad, just seen that. I'm guessing you were referring to the Soundhound when I was joking about you holding it up. Drift's a market maker. If I had a GEOV, actually a decent just sideways consolidation period over this 15-minute. But you can see that price is this strength is trying to flirt up. If this really caught a bid, you can see the catalyst for an ascending channel. Your 702, even this nice flat bottom break right at this $5 or the half level right here. Risk to reward just to that moment, 12%, really could start going. I got it. I mean, I don't have any faith in the Soundhound holding. I mean, this look right there alone looks terrible. We're just ready to get out of the name. Uh, and here it's going to come on in right here. This is not going to be able to hold this. I'd be shocked if this held today. Today is the day we get stopped out. AMC, worth a look. Let's look at some top volume for the day. Alibaba flirting with these lows right here. I'd say underneath here could see some red engulfing where we'd have to maybe look over to this 87.25, and then the low is 86s. So is this going to come on in? Looks like this trend line. Let's just go and look back at this trend line. I'd say you're right there. You're right there. So we'll see if that can hold. A lot of day left. It looks like it gave up 50s temporarily. Gaps up. Is it going to be able to hold that gap price over the course of the day? Given the feel, we're in that oversold area, so that's the one thing that I would say against it off of this support level right here, is that you are a weak name, but all it would take is for this to start catching a little bit of a bid, and we think that it could get going. ATHM, indecision, gaps up, didn't retrace down to the gap yet. ASTS showing a wick top a little bit, but getting very close. You're right at that positive break potential there. Invex getting very close, down to 30s. We can really think about maybe playing this trend line sometime today. Maybe it's alertable. If this gives up 35s, we'll put this on radar here. Boy, we gotta look at our alerts. Rivian, we can get rid of Rivian for now. Humma, I think we can leave that alert on Humma. ATHM, I'll keep my eyes on it. GMBL, we're gonna take that off. We can watch GMBL. It's a high mover today. So we'll put this alert on for the breakdown at 35s, and we can look back at Invex and see if we can reload that name. Baba trying to hold 50s. Soundhound. I can't even believe. Can't even believe. GMBL giving that move down. BTI, a nice move off the open over top of the neckline. Getting ready to flirt with the full. Actually, we're there. We're there. So we're at the neckline break at the last retracement. If this can show us some movement over top of 33.75, uh, you know, very bullish if this can get up to this range for our breakout level. Rivian indecision candle, boom, buying pressure off that wick, and now if this can wick higher, but if it does this little bit of a wedge pattern for this breakout above 24s, or call it 23.90, you could be seeing a flush down through that based off of that first candle. You just want to see this wick continue to wick higher. Amps, it's been a while since we talked about amps. It's probably you know, just trading sideways. You can see the catalyst for the wedge pattern. Is this trading off of a trend line potentially? So if this wants to just continue trading sideways, continue holding 6, I do like the long catalyst with this name. It's giving up strength, but when you go over to a weekly chart, you can see your strength hasn't given that positive break. So that's kind of what we said. If this can break higher, this will be our positive break look that we see on the weekly, where looking at the entirety of the retracement, flirting right around this 6 range, where we could see legs up to 750 as potential outs to start. We can take that off. Alibaba's still right around these 50s. Continuing to try and hold and wick down to these lows right here. We'll see if 8750s can hold. It's going to be interesting. COSM, not any decisive volume here. That would keep me away from it. We have no big movers on today. CGC is trying to. I'd say over top of this 31s. And Y31s are 33s. That's your previous low, flat bottom break, reject. Is it going to reject it again? Mullen, nice stair step action. Nikola, right off that 91, reclaims 91. Looked pretty good actually. Rig setting up this flat top. Is Rig going to get a break over top of 880? 880 is the magic number here on Rig. Decent flat top that has been building over, in my experience. I mean, look at, you get a bullish move, it just holds, trade sideways for long. A bullish move, just trade sideways for a while. Is it going to set up another leg higher? I'd say your profit takes testing up to the top end right here is clear. And then this looked at as a selling window. Flat bottom break hasn't given. I'd look at right up into here as an area to exit potentially. But strong name, you look at the weekly chart, still holding good strength here on Rig. Baba trying to hold 8750s. How bearish does that get on this 8750 break? We'll see. MSOS, you can see weekly candle number 3. We got a whole day's volumes worth today and Friday for this candle to form. If we close as a green candle testing up to 10 and starts wicking, then I would look for 1, 2, 3 weekly candles retracing back down, maybe down to this 750 to 680 range. Looking at the move, we think that the catalyst looks clear for that. You can see wick action into that 8 flat. You got your half retracing right to the top. We got that 8. All we did in addressing this line right here, and we'll go and see what that retracement looks like. But look, all we did is we're trying to map this gap up with something. Well, right here you can see that gap doesn't meet up with anything. Boom, right to that 618, right off 680. Now looking at the retracement move, is 680 anything relative off of our retracement to the downside? There's your bottom end of the move. 970. 970 looks very good. Not necessarily the greatest action, but if we were to map that up just a little bit higher, 975 is enough for us to say, yeah, up closer to 10 seems reasonable. And there is 919s on Soundhound. That should have just gave us an exit, and it's finally good to just be out of the name. Let's look at some top volume. Nikola top volume for today. Interesting. ANC, let's take a look at it. Not quite there yet. Mullen, not quite there yet. AT&T, actually a pretty good look off this daily chart. I'd say the long looks pretty good. A nice U build, the gap up over top, and where we're at right now. right at these lows. So you gap down on the flat bottom, you retrace up, fill that gap, you retrace up to that, build the flat top, and now testing up higher. So AT&T potentially looking decent right here. If I was looking for a trade, I would say in the middle of this green move seems reasonable. Your first retracement meets up right at that 15 level. If we move this up, you can see that's your half of the screen right at this 15 level. So AT&T potentially a shorter term ad right there to play strength. 15. You also have a wick top to go right in right off that 15. So AT&T, if you're looking for a short-term mover, I would say AT&T looks really good for continuation. Where you have clear outs, you have a flat top gap at 60s, and you have a gap fill at 80s. So not a half bad look. Alibaba continuing to hold 50s. I would say it's holding multiple. Just looking at the hold price here, we're going to a 1 minute. It's able to break over top of 60s for now. It probably has a downtrend. So if it can give a downtrend break, maybe can be something that retraces up over the course of time. But we're just gonna look at a clean chart right here, right into a downtrend. I'd expect rejection as it is right now. Can we solidify a higher low right off of 50s and then catch a bid? So we will see there. Soundhound stopping us out and now trying to catch a bid. So now that we're out of it, let's see it rip up through 3. Let's just see it. Just to drive that knife in a little bit deeper. HPQ down today, gapping down. We're still on a 1 minute, my bad. But HPQ, this is going to be a long for me if this retraces anywhere near these mid 20s. And you got your trend line, long-term trend line meeting in with some sort of flat top break right there. Boom. I'd say 20 to 25 is a really good long-term ad here on HPQ. So let's see this. We watched it break this trend line. Boom. Retraced up, retest, tried to fill the gap. Now giving a leg down. Very weak name. So we're going to give this a little bit of time. If this retraces down to these lows, we're going to add it. We're going to add. Nikola catching a vid through those ones. That was honestly a really nice flat top break right there. PBR flirting with year-to-date highs. It is year-to-date highs today. PBR, if this gets up to that 17 range, it's going to be profit takes for us. And from profit takes, this looking at a monthly chart, this looks primed, ready to break out if it gets over 17, but we are going to respect it for some trims. An average cost, our dividends that are getting distributed into this is raising our average up, but I mean, average cost of under 10 is pretty impressive. For the name. So a nice move. You can see off of your monthly chart, 3 green candles of increased volume, 1, 2, 3, pullback, indecision candle, wick buying pressure, and now taking out those highs. It's setting up for this 17 break on PBR. We like the name. MRO, we talked about 28 being a level that we're thinking about trimming. Hasn't quite got there, but setting up the flat top. If we get a nice green engulfing candle, we'll think about small trims off the gap, and then this flat bottom break, boom, rejects. So we will think from the gap into here as trims. We're probably looking to get 10 to 20% off of the position and hold a piece for the next level up to these 30s. Yeah, oil, we've seen a lot of oil up into this range. Some oil is breaking out at year-to-date highs. Some oil is already at its all-time highs. So that is really the catalyst of Devon. Is a lot of oil is already up in this range right here. So we think Devon trades at a pretty significant premium. BAC giving up these 25s for now. So is this a wick top that needs to retrace back down in? After seeing this move, this pulls back in. We're gonna respect 28.50s. more than likely going to respect 28.50s. Depending on how it gets down there. Of course, it always depends how it gets down there, but 28.50s looks like it is going to get respected. Rivian trying to hold this price. You can see trading in this range still. Nothing to really do with that position. Strength sitting decisively at this middle ground. We're looking for a decisive break higher, a decisive break lower. Simple enough, right? Enphase giving up 120s. So I would say that is a rejection of the downtrend. Let's go back to top movers. CGC, you can see off this daily chart. I looked at the 15. I didn't look at the daily. You can see the daily chart: 1, 2, 3 increasing volume, 1, 2 of decreasing volume. Still a lot of volume. But same buyers, you can see a little bit of wick buying, holding it above this gap. So you got to ask yourself, why didn't it have the weakness to push lower down to 93 and now catching a nice green candle? Is it going to have the strength to take out the highs? But a nice neckline break right here. This 133 would honestly have been a look for an add position on a pullback to the previous high. Well, it wouldn't have given me that. So now pushing higher. Not a half bad look here on CGC. I'd say Tel is setting up a flat top, probably has a descending channel, but you can see the catalyst on a break over 130s seems reasonable. Sort of a flat bottom right there. Not necessarily. I'd say your flat bottom is a little bit higher where it gaps down. It tries to hold that price and boom, hasn't given a test up. If this breaks higher, I'd say it does have a nice flat top build here at 172s. HLCK gapping up. Not convinced yet. I'd say you're still in a descending channel. This was the one that we had figured in that 702. Beautiful wave pattern to the downside. Beautiful. Baba right at 27.50s. Let's watch this and see how Baba holds these 27.50s. Wicking a little bit, you're right at those lows on red engulfing to the downside. We'll watch it. We'll watch and see if this can catch a bid. I would expect selling pressure into these 80s or upper 87s. Rivian catching a bid off the middle of this green move. We look at just this green candle. I'm guessing the 618. Nope, right at the half. 618, just below those 50s. But a nice wick of buying pressure there. Baba holding. What happened to my volume? What happened? Not the most amount of volume, but 7 minutes left. This discredits it with increased green volume for a bear flag. That's what I'd want to see. Here's your open. Volume relatively even off the open each of these days right here. You can tell when the open starts. Volume relatively even. I'd say you have a descending channel potential right there. So if it can hold for a confirmed higher low throughout this whole period, there's never really been a confirmed higher low. This doesn't really test the downtrend here. Boom. Never holds that low. This is where I would have wanted to see that low hold right here for a potential break. Well, now, does it need to give a move down? If it doesn't give this move down to these 86s, which I'd say is near that low, it's gonna have to make a decision because that low doesn't meet bottom end of the channel. But now, getting a decisive move. Is it going to start showing a wick pressure? We have 6 minutes left. But this is sort of that area that we gotta see hold. 8750s hold. Uh, that could be a break of this. Could be the setup of some more downward pressure. I don't know if I would, how much weight I would hold for that, but we'll see. We will see. Rivian continuing to catch a bid. If this is gonna work for us, you can see the red candle getting discredited early. You're looking at this as, okay, we're breaking this sort of trend right there. But now the green candle's holding above it. You can see the volume increasing. Nice buying pressure off of that break of that sort of trend. We'll see if that gets going here or not. Where's SoFi? SoFi right here. Kind of the same thing. You gotta see, there's your gap up price. There's your line in the sand. If it closes a candle below that, I would be a little bit alarmed. But if it can get over 9, we'll be looking for a 920 break. Alibaba, nice green candle, nice volume, 5 minutes left. Can that volume push up into the back end of this candle? Or Kiva pushing higher. Are we going to see 116s? There's your gap, 116s. That is going to be getting close to that window there. Natural gas. Natural gas is really trying to set up a bullish chart. You can see the catalyst for an ascending channel. It's got a true flat top build off of these threes, and here's the knife where your first little look, which this is a price that tries to hold. When it breaks it down, it retests it. So I mean, you could be looking for this to test top end of the channel, retest the flat top right underneath the threes, maybe even bottom end of the channel, but a decent setup on natural gas. I can see the catalyst setting up strong. You got your strength, you've retraced up, you filled the gap here, now you're trying to push higher. Rivian tested up to 80s just now. Alibaba trying to hold that price. Is it going to be able to show a break? There's your channel. There's your channel. It's still trading inside of it, showing some wick selling pressure, but still decent volume coming into it. Is it going to give you a trade sideways and a breakdown? Oil, decisively through 90s. I'd say oil, it sounds weird, but I would say continuation. Even if it pulled back to 88s from this area, I would say look for more continuation on oil. Oil looks very strong. Very strong, very strong. I mean, I think it's just unfortunate timing for the dividend on Devon, but still right around that middle ground. If this gets discredited, I would not be surprised to see some sort of a build, here is just saying if it discredits. You can see the early build for a potential channel. But until we have more information, I'm not going to say that is the case. Rivian still showing a healthy candle. Silica flirting with the highs of the other day. Yeah, a decisive move through this sort of wedge pattern. Decisive move. I'd say over top of 1570 would be extremely bullish. I'd be probably preaching 18s to 21s if it gets over top of 1550s. Looking at BTI with this dividend coming up, I would say up towards this range, I may be thinking about taking some trims. 'Cause I'm not sold that it's going to be able to break over 34 halves yet. So in front of 34 halves, might be thinking of some trims. Just with the menthol ban potential in the United States and 3 of their products containing menthol, I think is worthy of being a little bit early to the trims on this name. The value's clear. The value's clear with this name. It's just a matter of future news potentially being a catalyst for this downtrend that we're in. Which, it's going to suck. When we sell anything of this name, it's going to be like, we think we're selling good shares. Which is going to be unfortunate, especially if we look further into the future and it does reclaim like 46s. We think a reclaim of 46. We have a clean flat bottom break over here of this price. If it reclaims over top of that, oh man, that would be, I think, an extraordinary bull run that it would be setting up. Looking over to Alibaba for the next candle. We're 2 minutes in. Let's take a look. Trying to sort of break that tight channel downward, so at least it discredited this for now, which was kind of expected. Now it's just a matter of, is this going to be a price that can hold? If it retraces up, I'd expect some selling pressure into these 88s. And now coming on in, if this rolls over and back down to 87.50, is that going to be an area that can hold? But it's a great example. We tried getting that fill yesterday, and we got 80 or 59s was the fill. I'm not going to say that being 30 cents in the money is worth anything, but we think that we just added some really good shares there. And when Alibaba eventually, I shouldn't say eventually, I personally think it eventually trades over 150. We're going to look at that order and we're going to date back and say, yes, the risk reward right there, that is a prime example of how you risk reward trade. And those shares that we bought today, those are going to be directly sold right off the exact price of this gap one day. And we're going to date back to this date, September 14th, and we're going to say it was clear as day. We had enough of a catalyst to say it was worth adding to our position, and we will go from there. But I shouldn't talk about 160s when we're 30 cents in the money, but for all I know, it needs to break down the price before it goes. You can see over the last week and a half, it does have a channel downward. I mean, that's clear. It's clear to say that it does. But if this discredits, we can say over top of 90 is a clear level. And I wouldn't even say 90 because you have these wicks. It's a weird number, but I'd say over top of 90.35 will be a little bit more sold on the move. As long as it's trading in this channel, we're actually thinking that it's going to break down. You have weakness. You have no clear volume increases that are really coming in at a level that should be getting volume. This looks like oil all over again, in my humble opinion. But a nice trend line. Uh, we think that there's enough of a bull catalyst to say, yes, we like it. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see if we can find anything. Let's look at top movers. Top movers. We like the daily chart on CGC. We already MSOS, so not gonna play it. Nikola, no, not gonna play it. We're waiting for 71s. Waiting for 71 or 81, and then our 71, then 60 gap. What we're waiting for. Elox. This is a pretty darn good little look right here. How about that one, Drift? You want to talk about a trend line that gets some action? If this really caught a bid, you can see the wave pattern, hold the trend line, push up and retest that flat bottom break, boom, retest it, retest again. Now if it gets over top, this is a clean 6 break here. Let's look at this 15-minute. Volume is just starting to increase, not very much volume. Positive break on our 15. Let's alert this if it comes back in the retest 5s. We'll start at 518s. That's a dandy of a little setup right there, though. Each time this is just getting bought up. You see the flat top. If we got an early entry on a 6 break or a retest of 5, and this ends up getting over top of 1070, well, you have clear outs at 15 gap. That's clear as day. I don't even have to be zoomed in to see that. Clear gap outs at 15. If this breaks over 1070, I'll be sitting here saying, yeah, this is going for 15. My opinion, of course. But if it gets over top of that gap, I mean, this could be an ascending channel build easily right there, where, you know, top end of the channel probably meets in at the highs, which is another flat bottom break test, test, test. So 15 to 16, that's a clear selling window, in my opinion. We're looking at underneath of this wick low is a clear out. So test to 5, we're given 70 cents. 70 cents might sound like a lot, but risk reward trading sometimes takes that into account. But we like this look on this name. It's a very weird chart to look at. And here's your test of 5. We intraday gap from 5. So if we get alerted there, we're gonna go put our eyes on this name. I like that little look right there. Let's go back to the daily chart. Nope. Mullen. It's actually a nice hole, but we're waiting for one more leg down, or see this hold price. If this sets up the neckline right here, comes back down to holds, then we can think about taking it when it reclaims. MF, right around that middle ground, stair step. You can see the price action off of 130 seems to be resistance. Weight Watchers trades right down to that middle strength on red engulfing. Talk about having some faith on strength here. Boom, sideways action, takes out the high. Now taking out that. This looks honestly pretty good too. Nice ascending channel. These are the ones I want to get better at identifying earlier when they're on this tight ascending channel, and then boom, just by the consolidation period, holding above 1150, you're clear out. You can set an out underneath of the wick low right there. You could have easily took any part of this candle. Wick low, if that triggers you out, you know, honestly could catch a bid. Honestly, you could have waited for a pullback, got it, or a smaller fill, waited for a pullback and average in into the middle of this green move. So if we're looking at this pull right here, you can see that 1125 is that first retracement. Well, if you wait for a little bit higher, that 1140, maybe we don't try that. maybe that meets up with our 21 potentially. You know, these ascending channels off of the move, off of increased volume, uh, those are the ones I want to be better at identifying right there. But a nice green candle pushing through, and where this green candle is pushing through is right at this resistance level. So an early entry for a 12 break. If this gets over 12, which we're 6 pennies off, we could be seeing. Uh, you know, I don't really see any true levels. It's this 12 level is the level. So some would say, hey, we're getting ready to double top. Well, this strength does not tell me that. And looking at the weekly chart, elevated on your weekly chart. This weekly candle not closing yet, giving you the feel like, hey, we're gonna get ready. Uh, yeah, boom, 1, 2, 3. Now taking out the hives. Yeah, this weekly consolidation tells you a very good picture off of this consolidation period on a daily. Hussa. Let's look at these. Baba over 88. Alibaba over 88, gaps up, fills the gap is the picture that says on the daily chart now. It doesn't show me that, hey, this is going to be a downtrend, and still good volume. We have 5 minutes left. If this green volume increases, look at the equal green bars. As long as this doesn't wick down the last 5 minutes through 88, I'd say holding above 88 is good. You know, when I'm expecting selling pressure in a move and it doesn't happen, the first thing that I ask myself is, whoa, why doesn't this get selling pressure? Which, I mean, if you're looking at it as a retracement from the day, you can see that those 88.25s is that last grace. If this sets a higher low and then breaks over top of these retracements, we could be looking at a downtrend break today on the name. Mm, mm, mm. ASTS right at this 410 level. We know that this 410 is a big level. It's that low over here. Gives it up, retest, retest, retest. Now we're right here again. Can we decisively break through 410? This is not a decisive break through 410. It wicks, it gets up to 414s, and wicks back underneath. It has not been able to close above 410. We got a couple over here, but this kind of gave us the feel of the start of an ascending channel. So if we see this up to 425s, maybe it's worth some trims. But ASTS really setting up this daily chart where this is what I wanted to see Soundhound do. Boom, trade down, hold the level. You see how I'm just not sold on this. This is too much downward pressure and actually set a wedge pattern, breaking through the wedge pattern. I'm just not sold on it. Rivian, I like this setup. These tight ascending. This is I just got done talking about how I want to get better at trading these ascending channels. This is a prime example. We just forced ourselves into an entry. We have one trim, we have a reload. We're just forcing ourselves into this entry, trading low equal strength, but our strength is staying equal and our price action is moving higher. And we think this 24 level is a legitimate level. If this gives us a crack higher, we are looking for a decisive move higher. Same goes for the downside. If this cracks lower, we're looking for a decisive crack lower, maybe potentially coming back down into these low 20s, maybe even 19s. It's gonna we are convinced that it's going to pick a direction, and right now the direction is telling us that it's going to pick higher, is what we think. Each time we've got into the bottom of this range, you see the sizes of these candles. Nice candle, nice move, nice move, nice candles, nice move, nice candle, nice move. All on increased volume each time. Well, same with the downside. Increased volume, nice candles. Increased volume, not really nice candles. But I mean, end of the day, it's showing you the ascending channel build, and now we're getting a bull flag continuation on the name. If we can get top end of the channel right here, we'll try some small trims, probably 5, maybe 10% trims. But after those trims, we're going to be waiting for a retracement period back into the middle of the green move where we can get the reloads. And then if we come bottom end of the channel, back to our our original entry, we can think about adding some more size. We just barely missed our fill on this name early in the day. 4 pennies. 4 pennies we missed that fill. So that's a damn shame, of course. ATHM gaps up, tries to retrace down to the gap. It can't. Alibaba, an actual increase in volume coming in right now, getting closer to a positive break. We're right in at this retracement level with a minute left. Let's watch this for this last minute. You can see that last bit of retracement is getting a little wick pressure right here. But a perfect example of taking a risk reward trade right here. I'm just going to keep addressing it because we don't see, I mean, obviously the trend line that we have set gives us down the 87s. That does have some support. So even if this 87.50 did crack, it was possible for this to end up holding, but we still would have been bearish on the move. But the first time that this is decisively held a low, this is, to me, is decisively holding a low. What are the odds we get two nice green increasing volume candles right here? I don't know. Your weekly chart tells you a bigger picture as well, where boom, trade down in, build the neckline, set the higher low. If next week we get a wick down and it shows us a wick pressure, we can still say that it's holding this support, but if next week's candle shows this green move at all, that 90, call it a 90-50 break. That's the wick high of this candle. If it discredits this candle on a weekly chart, we think that, bare minimum, we could be seeing a test up where we know we have 94, 93 something gaps in right here. Let's see how accurate I marked that. Ooh, damn close, damn close. Close, 94.42 gaps. We want to see this get filled. If we trade down from there, great. If we trade up, we're looking for a 97, 96 break. If this gets over 96, we'll be saying 99 gaps right around the corner and a neckline break right around the corner. Potentially just bought near the low for this week. Potentially. Rivian on a decisive 24 break. We can maybe go get on the bid or on the ask for some continued movement upward. I think we'll just start with that same 10% trim that we got up in those 30s. Yes, or what was it? 2 days ago? 2 days ago. 2 days ago, we'll go with it. SoFi holding over 9s, giving a green look. ASTS, 14 minutes left. Show me a close above 410. Is that too much to ask for, Drift? I don't think it's too much to ask for. We've been asking for it for a while. Eventually, they're gotta be like, okay, let's give this guy what he wants, right? I mean, come on, right? BIC still holding over 25s, holding the green candle move. It's nice. End phase gapping up, wicking close to that gap at 1960s. Alibaba continuing right up to that move. Even higher. We're through the retracements decisively now. As long as this holds above 88, we feel very good about the names. About the name, not the names. COSM surprisingly still holding these 25s. We talked about it. We wanted to see it retrace up to that gap. It didn't quite get there, but now it's trying to hold this low. If it can retrace up to that gap and then trade back down, maybe there's something there. Let's keep looking through. We're at Hustle. We are at BDRX. Let's look at the daily chart here. Trading at strength, trying to hold a low. Here's a neckline break. You can set an alert right off that neckline break. This could get moving off of that neckline break. What alerts do we have set out there? Invex, it doesn't look like it's coming on in. Humma, let's take a look at Humma real quick. Humma, man, that risk reward right off those 75s. We could have an entry on this right as we speak. You can see that action right off this trend line. We said risk reward, give it, this is 10 pennies of risk right off that trend line. Beautiful look. If it rejects here and comes back in, let's move this alert. We think that this downside would get alerted before an upside move, but I cannot physically add this to my watch list. So if this comes in, we'll put it at the start of that gap up. So 81s, we're going to put this back on the map. If it breaks 4 and we don't have our eyes on this, I'm going to be absolutely furious. I could have it double alerted, but what was I was just going to alert something. I was just gonna alert something. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, BDRX. Let's try and put this alert off of a decisive 25 break. We'll start at 33s. If that triggers, we're gonna put our eyes over here for a potential break higher. We don't think it's gonna come in super fast, but let's switch this back over to a daily. Looks like junk. Nope. Nice U build on your commodity. You have a higher low. Lumen not half bad. It's just rejecting those 150s. Not bad. Trying to build a U. Pen. We think Pen's actually a value name. And you can see where we have marked. We just have a gap marked. I think we are going to try this. If this retraces down, and we'll have orders in off 1950s and then orders off the gap after that. If we have more downside movement, I think that it's a fair value name. Where, I don't know if 14s would come in. 36 cents, 46 cents of gap, $3 of gap, 12 cents of gap. This is probably has some sort of write-offs in it. Specialty income charges and tax write-offs, but consistently putting up profitability, and looking at the projection of 1.6, flat revenue, is that a case for, but looking at off of the retracements, if we take this original move, boom, that's what I would want to hold a little bit more weight to. So I don't know how low we could go over here. Maybe we retrace this up to the body candles and or let's just meet up that 618 right with that gap and just see what we're looking like. So we took this move here, and I know you're like, why wouldn't you take it to the high of the move? We just don't think that's really representable. But you can see the price action trying to hold there and trying to hold here. If this is setting up, it tries to hold here, tries to hold here. We think there's enough reason to believe that this could be something that tries to catch a bid off of these 19s. So Penn is going to be on watch if that trades down, but up 5% today. I like this as a value name underneath of 20 personally. Getting a positive break on Yum C. A nice neckline sort of build right here on Sing. The go-to's up 6%. We had it kind of marked as, let's see how it acts on here. China name, weak. Let's see if it can get down lower though. GSIT, maybe testing to a downtrend. HCC, continuation name. Talk about a flat top, false break. Fills the gap. You have the indecision candle. As soon as it takes out that gap day, boom, there's your continuation. Not a bad move on HCC. Tilray. INDO, kind of giving that feel of the ascending little wedge pattern for the break back over top of these highs. This could be worthy of a trade. Getting a positive break, if that has the movement to really push those lows. See with it's just light volume. These are hard to trade, but if you were just saying to yourself, hey, oil is strong, let's look at a low float oil name, I'd say this is a potential name. This name, HUSA and IMPP. And looking at HUSA's kind of the same boat. You can see gives the move, tested up towards that flat top at 250s. A 250 break on HUSA could be legit. And IMPP, three oil names right here where this 150 break could be something on HUSA. Potentially. Let's go back to that INDO. I lost track of where I was at. EAF, bottom end of the channel. We weren't sure if this was going to be anything, but actually catching a bid. So if this trades sideways long enough, maybe these lows that we're testing at is a potential breakout trade eventually down the road. Rivian still holding decent. SoFi holding 9s. ASTS trying to hold 410s. Can we get a close above 410s? Alibaba still over 88. Soundhound can really just suck it. I hate this name. Uh, GM, nice move, tested up the 34s. Is it building this trend line for a potential break? But you can see the buying. Wow, we did not have our eyes on this for that 33. 33s came right in. Uh, so if this wants to give a little bit of a breakdown of 33s, maybe the gap, as it's getting close to that gap. You have trend line and gap fill protection. End phase, catching a nice bid, a nice S pattern. It's able to break over top of these wick lows. It's decent. Decent start. It's got to show me a break of the downtrend though. Invex, nice green volume off the open. I'd say trend line. Risk to reward near this trend line is decent. Look at the top movers, Nikola on a beautiful move. That neckline break, that was legit. Nikola really could be setting up for a pump. Uh, Weight Watchers breaking through 12s. I say PayPal. This is kind of what I was saying early in the day. Giving that gap up, this is potentially going to put in a nut up or shut up candle today. And now I would say the retrace back in to the gap up price and potentially a little bit lower, and potentially this wick top right here. Increasing volume right now. I mean, this is a dandy of a look in my opinion. Uh, I mean, I don't know how much better you can draw up a setup on sideways consolidation. Gives you a move, retraces back in. We can look and see what that retracement is. Very close to that 702. Very close. But you can see that 618 holding like a glove, and the buying pressure holding it up right at that 60 flat level basically. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful move on PayPal right here. I would say this is if I didn't have a position, let's say I took a stop out off of the earnings somewhere in the pre-market or after hours when they reported, this is almost an ideal setup where even if you start the position, you can average in, average in, average in. If you break down 60s, okay. Maybe you see some movement. Maybe you have some lows over here that you can go off of. But honestly saying, I would say maybe I didn't mean to word it like that, but it's a respectable setup and a very respectable name that definitely trades at a discount, in my opinion. Buying back shares every single quarter, and I haven't done this too often, But I think PayPal is a very easy long to see financially, where, I mean, whether you care about analysts, I don't care about that. I would say annually consistent growth, it is slowing down. And looking at the quarterly, just still staying consistent. So all we need them to really do is just keep growing relatively compared to what just compared to what it's done over the years. It doesn't need to grow at 20% to be a reasonable investment. Yes, the margins are decreasing a little bit. The operating efficiency is still being consistent over the quarters. And I think the big thing to really lean off of is look at the shares that they're buying back. Boom, 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 boom. They're increasing the amount of shares that they're buying back quarter after quarter after quarter. I mean, that alone should be enough to look at and say that, okay, let's go look further into it. Okay, well, let's go look over. We have 17 billion in cash and cash equivalents. They're still sticking and increasing their short-term investments. Beautiful. A lot of receivables on the books. Great. Current assets 54. Total current liabilities, they have a current ratio over 1. Beautiful. Look at their long-term liabilities. Their cash alone covers their long-term liabilities, but that's not it. Let's go over to the cash flows. We know we got 13 billion in long-term liabilities. Looking at their cash flow, we'll look at an annual cash flow annual. We're looking at 2.5 years of cash flow. If you just say, yeah, we can mark them down for putting up 5 billion in free cash flow, that's 2.5 years of cash flow to cover their long-term debt. Fantastic. You go over trades at a reasonable PE, a reasonable name. If they continue to grow, you're probably looking at a forward P in the low teens. Fantastic. The value is there. If you look at it from that perspective, you look at the return on equity and the return on invest capital. Fantastic, fantastic. Music to my ears. That is what I want to see in a long-term investment. And you're just telling me that they're putting up a chart set up like this after looking at all of those financials. I mean, sure, you can go and look at different aspects into the business that they're running, where, yes, there could be a lot of increased competition, but I believe in terms of transactions in their space, they are the number one. Talk about a moat. The moat added in with the return on invested capital, the invested capital alone can be looked at as a moat, yet alone being the number one prominent user in their space. Looking at their peers, if I went and looked at Square, a Square, you're getting dilution, you're getting more growth, but you're getting dilution, you're getting more debt, and you're not looking at as much capital. And it goes to show that they don't have the capital. They're not financially set like PayPal is, to the point where they can afford to buy back shares and risk the price of them dropping. PayPal, if they keep dropping, they're going to still have plenty of cash and cash flow that they're bringing in to continue buying back shares. I think I said when we're over here, I said if this ever gets back on any 60s, we're gonna buy it. And well, it's just hard to stay true to our word. We did not put our money where our mouth was as I was taking out these lows, and we were being greedy. We were being greedy. We had our orders off 55s, 56, and 55 halves. You can see this little shoulder we were getting ready to pay. And honestly, from there, they could afford to even drop lower. This is the monster level support. This is margin for me. If PayPal would have got down here, it would have been okay. It is time. But I just don't know if it's gonna get there or not. Yes, it does have a downtrend that you're gonna have to worry about. Probably a wedge pattern, so maybe there's a catalyst over the course of the next 6 months where we can get it down in these mid 50s. To me, that's going to be a clear long-term buy. PayPal, nice move. It probably should be a title name. There probably should be shares bought for me today. Because when this gets that positive break, I think we're going to see this push up and try to fill this gap, maybe a little bit of rejection, but I actually think this is going to be setting up for a 77 break. When this breaks 77, before we know it, this $85 gap is going to be coming into play, and that's going to be just the start. retrace back down, test the previous resistance, the previous flat top that's built right here, trade in a range, and then boom, break out. The dream move you're really looking for. 175s. I wouldn't be surprised to see it over the course of a long-term investment, 5-10 years. Wouldn't be surprised to see this push up to 75, but a really good look, all in all, really good look on PayPal. Very tempting. Gaps up. You see the wick buying, doesn't have the weakness to get down here. It's really good look. Really good look. Looking elsewhere, Baba's still holding above this, so really good add. I'd say your risk to reward here was unmatched. You got a very realistic trend line, and the channel actually meets up pretty well. Risk to reward, if you were just playing these lows over here, give it 20 pennies underneath of that low, give or take. The lows are at 80s. So you're looking at right there, your risk to reward from these 87.50s was about 1%. There's not too much better risk to reward that you can find from that, and I'm very excited to see how this position ends up playing out. But very good risk to reward trade off of that. ASTS still not able to get over top. Look at that. It's just messing with me now, Drift. It's just messing with me now. It's not closing above these 410s. It's just not allowing it to hold over those 410s. Can we get a decisive move through those 410s? ATHM continuing to catch a bid, probably a catalyst off of the Baba move, but ATHM title name every single day for over a week now. Which way are we gonna break? Which way are we gonna break? I would put my vote for breaking higher. You can see on the commodity low, 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 low. You even have a trend line. This trend line that has been holding like a glove, you have the same trend line on your commodity. I love it. Love the setup, and I think it's a reasonable swing trade and long-term investment. You're looking at 80% margins, operates over 20%. They're using that cash flow to buy back shares, trading at around a 13 PE, growing consistently about 5%. I don't know what else you could really look for. Cash to debt on ATHM, unmatched. I think it's like 1,000 to 1 cash to debt. High interest rate environment. 500. Let's just do the math on it. I should be able to do it in my head, but 44 to 1. Unmatched. Unmatched. That is fantastic. It's beautiful. Rivian. Still holding top end of the channel here. Given a stair step look, I think we can probably put an alert off of these 18s. If that alerts us, we're going to get ready to take a piece off there. BAC holding above 29.25s. Beautiful. Devin, come on down, baby. Come on down. Jets ETF, trying to put in a higher low right there. Maybe worth our start into the position, but we're looking for 1750. 1750 gap. Kazim, how are we looking over here on Kazim? Nope. Not quite there. Maybe this can be moved a little bit. Sort of like that. We'll give it a little bit of room. It's a slight adjustment there. Amps, notable move. Testing over top of that flat top. Nice hold of the trend line. Warner Bros. Trying to give a nice U build on the daily chart, just not there yet. Trying to put in a confirmed higher low, maybe a wedge pattern being made. Short-term wedge, sort of like this, where here's your flat bottom off of this 1225 flat bottom break, give or take. DFS didn't have the strength to fill 9150s, so might need to fill 9150s, but a nice hold of those lows on DFS. But it looks like it's time to go let the dogs outside and go refill the coffee, maybe get a quick bite to eat. Drift, I don't know if you're there. You can let me know what you want me to leave this on. Probably gonna be gone probably 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. You let me know what you want me to toss this on. Maybe it's an individual name that we haven't even talked about, something that you want to see. And if it is, I'll give a quick breakdown of it before I leave for uh, a little bit of a break. But I will be back. I do got to go into work around 11:30, 12 o'clock today. Yesterday was, get this, Drift. You let me know if you're there. I don't. You did say be right back, so I don't know if you're there. Doesn't look like you're there. Okay, well, I'll leave this on Baba because Baba is looking really good. Humble opinion. Setting up the flat top. Now it's already flirting with this flat top. I mean, that, we've talked about Baba every single day on the stream. The one time we actually buy it on the stream, adding to our position, let's not forget that, is the almost absolute best possible risk reward buying it on a knife. Buying it on a red engulfing knife. Huh. Wow. You find somebody that has the resilience, the patience, and the execution where he puts his money where his mouth is. You tell me. You could say, yeah, we're only up $1. Yeah, you say that now. You say that now. You just wait. We'll leave it here on the Bobski. Maybe we'll leave it on Rivian in case somebody tunes in. But I would say clear sort of channel that's trading in. I'll be back. I will be back. Hopefully I have a couple alerts that trigger up by the time I get back. Hola, hola. He's back. H&H Trader, welcome to the stream, buddy. Energy, yes, I seen oil through that 90 level. It looks very, very good for continuation. I don't know how else you can draw it up better than this, except for it is potentially going to wick into this level, is what I would bet on. But I wouldn't bet against the strength. Honestly, the strength is elevated. You look at your weekly chart. Your weekly chart's elevated. You look at your monthly chart. Nice hold of that positive level. Uh, is it going to continue this retracement period? I'd see mid 90s. If we can decisively break through 90 flat, I would say um, up to these middle 90s is the next level of resistance that I have marked, at least. Mapping that out as a retracement, I'd probably try and get that last little wick in right there. But I'd say that 93.80 meets in at that half. If we're able to get through that, we could be seeing $100 oil before you know it. So, yes, very bullish on oil. Rivian looks like we're catching a little bit of resistance on Rivian, trading in a nice channel. SoFi still trying to hold nines. Beautiful. The catalyst for the SoFi, I know Hal is probably writing up some shit talk. But I did think that SoFi had a reasonable setup, playing with this neckline and actually getting fills off of that neckline yesterday was also pretty good. Trying to hold nines here. We're looking for outs into 25s and 30s. If this can just push up just a little bit more, we'll start getting trims on the name and size accordingly. BAC holding above 25 still, that's what we like to see. End phase, gotta see a decisive break. Let's see a day high break, and that will be our first downtrend, but I'm not sold on anything until end phase gets over 132s. PayPal, I think, is one of your better setups long. I think if you don't have an entry on PayPal, I think today is a reasonable price, even though you're buying it a little bit higher. You can average in off the gap, average in off your moving averages, and you probably have some sort of trend line that you can average in off of as well. You can see early signs of a continued channel build right there. Try to hold in this like a glove. Anytime you see nice decisive moves higher like this where you don't really have anything to mark and you pull back in, hold a price. Now we have a little bit more information to go off and getting a neckline break. So I'd say that looks pretty good. BTI also on a neckline break. We're looking for trims and then potentially top into the channel. Dividends coming up, so got to be careful there. ATHM. I know I've gone on your stream personally over the last couple of days or last couple weeks and just said, hey, as long as this is trading on this trend line, this is a reasonable long to try and build. If it's going to give you a crack, you're probably going to get a gap down, and risk reward off of that gap might be a little bit significant. Might look for like a 7 to 10% gap down, but if this pans out and prints top end of the channel, the risk reward is definitely there. Looking for top end 60%. It's got to show break of the downtrend still, so by no means is it set in stone. But I would say oil being strong, dividend getting paid to on September. I mean, the ex-dividend date is today. Obviously, 2 days before that, you're looking at this day was the last day to get in. I would say if this price comes down into the 49s anywhere, we are going to continue buying Devon. Intel, I'd say, is great trims off of the level, off of the gap. Didn't get any 40s, but we're looking to get mid 40s and 42s. 42 might be an exit of the position, or top end of channel might be exit of the position. And we'll look for some sort of pullbacks back into 37s, where we would feel pretty good about it. Looking at some top movers for the day, Nikola. I mean, we had the flat top marked. We watched it as it was breaking it. Just never pulled the trigger. But a nice flat top break there. Nikola, when these flat tops break on Nikola, we can go back. I mean, that hour chart, but I'm sure I don't even have to look at the chart to see where it's at. I'm gonna guess right here. There's that 150 break. Yep, clean 150 break. Starting the show, decent early signs of maybe trend change, but a lot more interested down off this 60 and 70 gaps. What else we got? Baba still holding the 88. I'd say the 15-minute, I'd say your risk reward for Baba is very reasonable. We actually did add some Baba on the stream today, 59 fills, so a little bit off the lows, but we felt very good about the Baba trade. I wouldn't even say trade. Baba long is what I would probably classify it as. Looking at some other movers, let's look at some volume. I know Hal loves the volume. I don't even know if Hal's still there. He's probably not there. I'd say GM is worthy of an add into these 33s, maybe even a little bit lower. Rivian showing some rejection off of that wick top. If we just mark that wick top right there. But I think the channel is clear as day, in my opinion. Something like that. I'd say clear channel, so 2450s, that would be a bullish move up to 2450s, but I like the setup that it has going for it. FVR, nice 2% day, given a stair step, setting up the flat top, had the increased volume showing that there is some buying trying to push this higher. If this retraces down, then breaks over top of, call it 29 break. I would say that this is also setting up for a potential neckline break probably next week, but if it continued tomorrow, that neckline break, that 30 break looks really good. Mr. Drift, good to have you back. I just got back myself. Looking around, I would say, let's see if we can find, we are set on top volume. Let's see if we can find anything. This GMVL retrace right back down to the gap. It looks like it is trying to get bought up off of that level. Given the bear flag, you can see the potential little downtrend that it has, and now a red engulfing coming on in, but does have the wick buying off the gap. Is it going to be able to hold this price? Can it show some type of move from that? I don't know. I'd say you potentially have a trend line maybe being built. Not a very good channel look off of it. Tries to hold top end of the channel, you could say, but I'm not sold on this yet. Looking at the daily chart, still not quite there on strength. It might just need to trade sideways a little bit longer. I don't know if Hal is there. Drift. I took a break and then Hal tuned in. Looks like he said some things about oil, and then maybe he had something to do. Who knows? But I think airlines, I think is going to be the next build that we start going into. You're already seeing the news start to kind of follow the airlines up. Oil. Everyone wants to talk about oil now after it's made a 20% bounce off the trend line. My bad. 34% bounce off the trend line. Yeah, now everyone wants to talk about oil. Oh yeah, now they want to. Oil is a hold for me, except for Devon. Devon will get slammed if we continue to see it trade down near this trend line. I will continue to be a buyer of Devon. ASTS still not able to give this break higher, but a decent setup, getting very close to that positive break. Need a fresh. Take a look at heat real quick. Not quite there. Not quite there. I knew. I shouldn't say I knew. I was getting a feeling that CVS one. Let me say one thing real quick about CVS. I'm 100% convinced. I'm convinced that this is a much, much better run financially, business, uh, and also management. Much better than Walgreens. Much better than Walgreens. And I was so happy to see Walgreens really pulling this name down. But had this name really gotten into this neckline a little bit more, this is your true neckline that was holding right here. Had it gotten down into sort of these gaps in these low 60s, you can see the gap fill right here. You have the neckline meeting up with another gap. Had it gotten down here, I think it would have been time. So I am a little bit disappointed to see this catching a little bit of a bid, but still has 72 gap. Might have a chance to trade back down in this range. Low 60s, I think, is clear fair value in my opinion. Where if you build in the 60s and it goes against you, so let's say 61s, right? 61s, you're looking at implied volatility to the downside for this long-term trend line that we have drawn. I would say 16% out of the money, you can really get ready to slam that position off of that monster support level, in my opinion. But so it's a little sad to see CVS catch a little bit of a bid. That's too bad. You can't have everything. Actually, we do own CVS and ETFs, so I mean, we own everything. I've gave you the pitch on that before, Drift. We own everything. You go look at any of these top movers right here. We already own them in ETFs. That's the beauty of VT. VT, we own everything. We're geniuses. We're geniuses. We got all these movers. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding about the ETFs owning them, but you know, Carvana actually catching a nice bid right here. The weekly chart looks very good. Daily chart looks really good. Nice flat top break. Decisively through the channel. Gave that test back in towards the channel. And now, boom, decisively moving higher. BBIO. This stock, Drift. Drift, you see what I'm saying right here? Like, we should have the entry here. We'd be almost $2 in the money. We should have this. The fact that this stopped us out at 40s, I'm not ever going to adjust this chart. I'm just going to leave it just like this. I'm going to leave it just like this. That is bogus. That's bogus. That's bogus. This one's going to give me nightmares. Because this setup that it has going right here is just the beginning. If this breaks over top of 30, 50, call it 31s, man. 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 Man, oh man, oh man. Can't help but go look over here at Hama. The only thing that would make BBIO worse is if we miss our entry on Hama and this thing rips where we think it could. I'm speechless looking at BBIO up 5%. I'm speechless. I don't have words for that. Like, this is something we should have. Maybe on these setups like this that are just trading at a higher range. You know, the only thing that's gonna make me look at this is we look at TNGX right here. These setups right here, I'm gonna get good at trading this setup. I'm gonna get good at trading these setups. I got stopped out on this one as well. I mean, it sucks. It sucks, but sometimes for me personally, I gotta fail at it. I gotta fail at it to get better. And these two, I mean, we should have run hard stops on both of them. Well, we thought we were running a hard stop on BBIO. We thought we were. Like, this is the most bogus sort of setup I've seen. I just don't even know what to say about it. But we're gonna get good at trading these, and we're gonna in the future we're gonna make so much freaking money off of setups like this that I'm not gonna stress about it too much. But it's a kick in the groin. It's a kick in the groin to see this up 5.5% with the setup that it has going on right now. But we're gonna get good. That is the next setup that we really want to get good at trading, and each one we've had our eyes on the right names, like BBIO. Like, who the heck is looking at BBIO? TNGX. Who the heck is looking at TGNX? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna get good. Like, all it takes is identifying those names, and you get that entry, even though they're higher. Oh yeah, we're gonna get good at them. You hold me to that, Drift. The next time I take a setup like that, oh man, I'm really going to put as much effort into setting and execute it out for the name as I possibly can. And when I come to a conclusion on that out, I'm going to put a buy order right off of that out. And then we're going to put that stop another 5% lower. And we're going to hammer it. And we're going to make so much freaking money off of it. Oh man, I cannot wait. But yeah, those two are really gonna be tough to watch over the coming weeks, because I mean, you look at BBIO. If this were to start trading up here at 35s and it breaks higher, and this trades up at, if it gives a move like that, I'm gonna be so freaking pissed. And TGNX, I mean, you can see the level that it's getting ready to trade over. If you look at a retracement for this name, direct correlation. If this trades up here at, man, it's gonna be so hard looking over at these names. It's gonna suck a lot. But, um, like I said, I gotta fail at it to learn. If I don't fail at it, I'm not gonna learn properly. So that's what I'd say about it. Uh, ATHM holding 30s. Geo trying the wick, seeing some wick selling pressure in front of 50s. Go figure. PayPal, a nice decisive move. I'd say if I was picking anything off of these watches, this was one that I would say had probably the best setup, in my humble opinion. Getting close to that positive break. Soundhound can suck it. Invos giving top end of the channel a little bit of pressure. How does it act if it comes back in? Elox. Ooh. We're coming back in here on Elox. Very, very light volume. But I think the trend line is decisive enough to keep our eyes on it. I just watched a guy on this podcast take a long on this breakout higher and instantly got stopped out. Why, if you had your eyes on this, what is making you get out? One, but also what part is keeping you from? I don't know. Some people, I just can't do that short-term trading. It's just not in my blood. I gotta try and hold for the big move. I don't know. Maybe that just makes me a bad trader. I don't. I don't know. It's just end phase flirting with a day high break. It actually did set days high. This is what we said. You know, early entries. If it can show a 124 reclaim, maybe something here. But I gotta see 132s. If 132s print, we think that this is getting ready to go. I'm actually inclined to maybe add off of this flat top break right here. I could see some real volume start coming into this on that break. Cause M giving the crack down. So we can probably move this off of this. No need in keeping it on there anymore. You know, down in this range, is it? Is it still trading in something like this? It is possible. It is possible. So we will set an alert off of this sort of neckline break right here and see if it gets any action. Gosh darn it. One of these days will be big time enough to have as many alerts as we possibly can. But Rivian, we'll keep our eyes on Rivian. Oh, if I had unlimited alerts, oh jeez. You'd see so many. I would be so aggressive putting alerts just every random place possible. And you would just be watching the live stream and be like dink, 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 dink. Like every 10 seconds there'd be an alert going off. And I'd be bouncing all over the place. Oh man, it'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun. And I would probably take hundreds of fills every day if I could have alerts everywhere. You know, early in the year when we were really bullish on this NASDAQ, when we were super bullish on this NASDAQ, and I know Hal will be able to testify to this if he was here. When we were trading over here in this range, dude, we were taking like 200 fills a day. Just maniac trading. It was like, I'll remember these days for a while. We were just maniacs all of January and February. We were just, it was a lot of fun. Well, you gotta imagine we had our chart set up like this, and it was like, oh my gosh, we're breaking this freaking channel. You can see it decisively move off of this channel. You can see the move decisively move off this channel. Oh man. Oh, hindsight. Oh, she still had some of those fills, some of those entries. Hindsight is always 2020. Why was causing? Oh, he moved it. That's right. Okay, there we go. Mullen really catching a bid. Not surprised that is catching a bid. Has a strong chart setup. If I had just went over and looked at it, increasing volume, decrease. That's a breakout trade right there. That's a breakout trade. Why didn't I look at Mullen at all today? Wow, look at those wicks. That is a beautiful continuation. Get the fill somewhere in here. Man, that's a really good look, honestly. I need to be better at looking at these top movers early in the day. But that one in particular does give volume. This one wouldn't have gave me. I would have had to punch in off the neckline to have the entry. CGC increasing volume. This indecision candle had some breakout trading, so decrease has a tight channel in. Do I add any spice? What do you think, Drift? Do I add some spice to the channel and we just take this trade, put an out off of 125s, which 125 should have pretty good support. You have your wick tops coming in here. Add a neckline break as well off of volume and a solid continuation type of look here. It's been a while since we've really taken a bull flag trade that we had some conviction on. I don't know if we have the conviction here on this trade or not. It's rejecting the wick lows. 1, 2, 3. You're expecting that move higher, which would tell me maybe switch to a 30-minute. There's your 2 candle moves. You're on candle number 3 here, and a channel right into a level. Maybe there's something here. But looking at it from that point of view, you can see up to those 150s is what we'd be looking for. So what's our risk to reward? Looking at 16%. We're looking at taking 25, so about 3 to 1, almost 3 to 1, depending on the entry. Stem. We talked about stem yesterday. We said we like this consolidation. Something just looks a little bit different with it. Looks pretty darn good, honestly. That 5 break is what we talked about yesterday too, and now we're sitting at 499s. There's your last retracement. Looks good. This is that sort of sideways consolidation that you can see the descending channel even mapping over to that high right there. You can see the buying pressure coming on in. Match just doesn't have the strength. You look at this weekly chart, strength is there. Leaving a close above that level even. Not a bad look here on match. What is the arms? Isn't this an IPO that's supposed to come today? When's that IPO start? ATHM or ASTS. Still not able to push those 410s. It's just not ready to go yet. Giving a bit of a frowny face look here on Rivian. That's what you look like when you discredit a retracement. That's what you look for when you discredit a retracement. Just gap up right through the entirety of the move. That discredits everything. The shorts don't have a chance to get out. They gotta cover right away. The longs have a chance to push it even higher to the bigger move right there, which is your 702. RCKT. We got one of these guys taking a trade on RCKT. Rocket Pharmaceuticals. Day two, if this were a 15-minute chart and you see that green candle really coming on in, what do you think? What do you think? Oh, we still have an alert on this name. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Let's take a look. I think it's time. To move that alert back to the top end. SoFi looks good. Nice increased volume. 20K a pop. That's a lot of liquidity. Let's get that calculator back up there. What's that? 20K a pop times, we'll call it 122. It's 2 mil liquidity pop. That's not slouch volume right there. It's pretty damn good volume on that move. Testing through the downtrend. I'd say end phase is, I bring up end phase all the time. Yes, I'm red on the name. We got an average of 135s. Uh, I just think this is just clear value on this name, in my opinion. Baba, we can look at this. Anytime I hear value, I just hop over to Baba. Setting up the flat top, trade into the level on red engulfing. If it takes out this level, 88.50 break is legit here. CGC breaking that sort of tight channel. Volume hasn't picked up yet though. If this trades up, sets a flat top, rejects, gives that double top look, and then trades back in. This looks pretty good. The ascending. These are beautiful setups right here. The ascending channels that end up breaking higher. Those are very good setups in my opinion. LLAP, only 1 mil in volume, but a notable takeout of the high here. How are we looking on oil? I was just looking at a few things on that LLAP. I don't think I'm going to take a trade on it. And here we're wicking into this level, so come on in, hold this. Easy outs underneath. Could honestly wiki out, but I think there's a pretty reasonable setup here on CGC. Showing you increased volume. I think we're gonna play this ARMS IPO. There's a lot of buzz rolling around for it. They're looking at 12:03 as an estimated time for the ARM Open. I think we're gonna participate. It's either the biggest trap IPO I've heard in my day, or I'd say Rivian, right in this middle of this channel. Risk reward for a new position. Average in, wait for the trend line. If you are wrong on your first average, out to underneath of 23 seems safe for an out. Nice stair step, really setting up this 29 break on FVR. You can see each time it's tried to put increased volume on that breakout. It's just coiling. I mean, I'd say your risk reward for early entry is going to be on that 29 break. Oh, we got 2 minutes till this ARM IPO is supposed to come into play here. One and a half minutes. This ARM's IPO is set to come in play. Uh, 'Just waiting for this ARM IPO. We're gonna give you guys some action today. And we're supposed to get an open here any moment. 56.30 open is the estimated open price. And here is 12:03. Let's see if we're not open yet. I don't even know if the ticker is supposed to be ARM. CGC still trading sideways a little bit right here. I would say it not out of a channel yet until I see it decisively take out this high. So if we pull in right here, is there a catalyst for this to be some sort of ascending channel build right there? So Arm still hasn't opened yet. End phase. End phase. Yeah, it's the decreasing volume, a little bit of a wick buy right there. This 29 break on FF or FVRR looks legit. We'll see if it has any weight to it. But you can see the nice hold of the channel. Uh, early signs of a early entry. Carvana. Yeah, I don't know what would make this guy get out of this trade. I don't know. Some people just like, I can't trade short like that. I just can't do it. Not in my blood. BDRX, getting closer to that alert price. A little bit of volume. That 11 level on SFWL is legit, testing up to this ARM IPO, still not open. No follow through on that 12 for Weight Watchers, but I would say down into 1150, 1130 range. Could easily catch a bid. Arms open. We got the official at 56. Let's go look at this ARM IPO. ARM IPO, man, right off the open, starting off green. Oh, we gotta use the limit orders. We're gonna try it right there. We'll get our entry on ARM. I believe that should have gave us try off of 75s. That should have gave us a fill. We should have 2 fills on this name. We got 5573 on the second one. This already has 18 million in volume. Anybody's ball game here. I think this has a good chance of catching a bid if it gets back over 56. And there's 56, candle has turned green. What's that wick low right there? We'll go 75s and see if that bid can start holding off 75s. We're going to try and add some more off this 75s. We're going to add more off of 75s. No, candle's trying to be green here. 22 million shares. What a frickin' IPO. Good lord. Now over $1 in the money on the position. Let's see if we can break over 57s here. Huge. Oh my god. Did I see that right? Oh my god, it ate it up. There was 900 lots on 57s. And it chunked it down all the way to 50. And now there's only 1 lot on 57s. There was... I don't even know if that was accurate or not. But now right through 57s. Wow. Wow, dude, 900 lots off of 57. I don't even know if I seen that correctly. Drift, I don't know if you are still here or not, but 900 lots off of 57 is no slouch. And it ate through that. We're just gonna hold this. See if we can get an extended move here. Now up to 25 million in volume. These guys on this trading have been in and out trying to go long and go short. That is not how I play an IPO. On an IPO like this, I just try to buy the low. So I don't think that I'm gonna get these 55.75. So let's cancel that order. Just keep seeing what this tape is gonna look like here. Switch over to this 15-minute candle. So it says it's taking it off of that first candle. So let's see if this next candle can show some continuation. We can think about maybe starting to get some trims. Over $2 in the money though. 170 lots off 90s. Just eating that up. Right through 90s, and here we're gonna get 58s. This guy's bragging about being long 57.50. I mean, think about taking a trim, but I'm inclined to just hold it. See if this can be something crazy. 58s. Let's see a break. There's no size on 58s. It's gonna eat this up. 5 lots on 58. Oh my god, the bid is just climbing. And there's a nice break of 58. Got as high as 34s there. 38 and just continuing to climb higher. Now over getting close to $3 in the money here. See what that. I don't know why these guys are bragging about getting outs. This is a strong move off the open. 12 minutes left in this candle. This volume is gonna exceed 1.9 mil off the open, but total volume on the name is 32 million. Now $3 in the money. Now we're finally getting a little bit of selling pressure. I'd say playing the whole $5 level at 60 is probably worth it. There's huge size still trying to jump onto this bid. I mean, the volume is already telling you that we're gonna get increase, and based off this candle, I don't think it's a candle that I am gonna be involved in selling much here. And here we're getting up to 59s. So decisively $3 in the money here off this IPO. And right through 59s. See if we can reclaim 59s right through it again. Nine minutes left. We are getting a ton of volume on this name. I could have sworn I seen 400 lots. Just freaking, just eats. This thing is just eating. I mean, absolutely just destroying anything that goes on the tape here. I don't see a reason to sell, even though it'd be easy to start getting some trims. Dude, if this breaks 60, I'm expecting some size off of 60, which we're right here. 8 lots, we got 40 lots on 95s, it eats through it. 100 lots on 97, eating through it. We have 29 lots on 59s, eating through it. Oh, let me see how many lots are on this 60. Only 36 lots on 60. This is gonna chomp through 60s. This is gonna chomp through 60s. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's no size on 61s. This is gonna chomp and just go through 61s. Just straight through 61s. I mean, are you guys not entertained? We got people taking breakout trades on this through 61s. You know, if this were to get up to 65 bucks, I think we'll, and there she's gonna come on down a little bit. I mean, this increase in volume, looking at the candles, 7 minutes left. I mean, the only thing that would get us to really get out of this position if it wicked down and showed us a large wick on that candle, but I mean, the buying is really trying to hold this up. So no profit takes on the name yet, but I mean, only 4 lots on 61s. I think it can easily reclaim that. Very easily. Now decisively holding 61s. Good size coming in off the bid. Trying to hold 61s. And now testing the high, and now a new high is on the name. I'm on 61s. You can hold. Oh boy. There is a little bit of decent selling coming through the tape here for once for the start. But a really healthy green candle here. I don't think there's a reason to really panic on anything. I mean, the bid's still holding 61, so I don't see any reason to. And it looks like we are going to go give a test for these highs again. And just like that, here we are, 8 lots on 70s. 62s, now the highs, and here 1 lot on 98s. So there's not any real size right in front of it. And 50 lots just entering up on the bid at 80s. It got eaten up, but I mean, they are trying to really push this name. Yeah, I think we're just going to try and hold this name. We're going to try and hold it as high as it can possibly go. But with this increase in volume, a bigger green candle, if it closes anywhere above 61, that's 61 right there. So it's marked 61. We'll just mark it right there. If it can hold this candle above that, I mean, I don't see a reason. Maybe we can go to a 5-minute. I mean, look at that volume. So we got 3 minutes left in this candle. All it would take is a retest of like the middle of this green move, and it could really just churn all the ways all for a long time here. Coming right into 61s, coming on in, you know, honestly, 59.50 looks really good for an ad. You know, 1, 2, 3 pullback candles right into 60 or 59s. I would say it looks very healthy. This candle might actually end up being, you know, if it matches, if it takes out the highs 62 on this 5-minute candle, I would expect the volume to continue showing you that churn. I know this is probably going to get the vote for the eyes, but it doesn't look like we have anyone watching anyways. But right it back into that 60 flat. Look at the 5-minute. A little bit of increased red volume here, but we have a minute 30 left for this to leave a wick. Now we're right into those 59 halves, which is what we'd expect buying pressure from. And you can see that first wick candle wicking into it. Now bid stacked back on 60s. CGC, I'd say going right in. This is a 5-minute. Now reclaim 60 back on the arm trade. $22 seconds left on this 15. If this is going to give us a big move, you know, not leaving a wick on much of a wick on this 5-minute. Red engulfing. Volume is decreasing a little bit. 7 minutes to leave any type of a wick. There's a small wick, And there, I'd expect some continuation down, maybe back into 57s, where if we look at this as a retracement type of play, uh, and here is the third 15-minute candle. So these guys are talking about short and 60. I would lead me to say that this is gonna, yep, right already through 60. Yeah, just try the opposite of what these idiots are doing, and I think you'll do pretty good, personally. So this gives me a little bit more, uh, uh, you got stopped out almost at the low, and now he tried the short, and he just got stopped out of his short, and now he's trying to think about punching long 60s. This guy's a freaking clown. This guy is a clown. He's a freaking clown. He just got done saying if 60s don't hold, he's gonna go short, and there he just said he punched short. I think he's a freaking maniac for punching short. Absolute maniac for punching short. Oh boy. But you can see some selling pressure into those 60s though. Is it going to be able to take that out on this 15-minute candle? Let's look at the 5-minute. You can see the red engulfing. Anytime I see a red engulfing when I'm looking to take a bull flag, you got to be worried about that stair step. Where if this is your bull flag that you're looking to take, that stair step action gets you down into these 57s. Where as soon as it builds this something like that, test down. Is it going to be tighter? Possible. It's possible that we end up being tighter, and then tries to retrace up, follows this, and then all it would take is a discredit of this tight channel to the downside. And he is already talking about potentially getting stopped out for the. I don't know how many times this guy's been stopped out of this trade. Absolute clown. That's not how I would not go on to trading an IPO and already be stopped out long and short 5 times. The goal in an IPO is to get the entry. You want to try and buy the low on an IPO. That is how I trade IPOs. You want to try and get that low. Where had this cracked down, we would have been playing 55 flat. We would have played 54 50s. We would have played this all the ways down to 50s. And then as it gives you, it's about having the conviction in the type IPO. But obviously, I'm not big time like these guys. So I'm not big time. But he's already he's sitting in short off of the 60 break. He's sitting slightly in the money. He's probably going to be bragging about being short if it gives any type of move down into the upper 50s. But I would say I think the long looks good. I think it just is going to need a little bit more time. I think your 5-minute has a decent understanding of it where we have a minute left. You got the selling pressure into the red move. You're expected to trade down. I would say 58.50 is a reasonable area. And looking at the entirety of the move, there's your 58.75. That's probably a reasonable look. Um, I would say maybe if it gave up 58, we would maybe think about adding down here. A lot of longs potentially getting in. You can already see the signs, and and I guarantee this guy gets stopped out, and we see this next candle give that stair step that we talked about. So you see that red candle on a bull flag, give that look. You instantly got to think, hey, that third candle potentially going to set up that stair step where he's out of his short now. So I don't know if he made money on the short. I don't know. He probably had some outs. But he is out of his short, and now he's already talking about, oh, if it holds above 60, he's thinking about going long. See how stressful that can be on an IPO when you have no levels to really go off of. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. And now he doesn't have a long. He doesn't have a short. His potential is eliminated because he's trying to play the move up. He's trying to play the move down. And now he's talking about, oh, we rejected, gave up sixes again. He's thinking about going short. It's just like, what? How? That is way too stressful. Way too stressful. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see this catch a bid to the downside and, respect this sort of range. But if it reclaims 60s, I don't know, guys. I'm not big time like these guys are. So that's what I'd say about that. I'm just an average Joe. Just an average Joe. But we do have a really good entry on this ARM IPO, and I don't think we'd get stopped out until breakdown of 55. So we'll see. We are on candle number 3. If it can hold 59s, maybe a potential break comes in at this 60 half. But gotta see it. Looking at CGC, I do think that this trade has some potential, and you got to go to the 15-minute chart for it, where this is sort of setting up that flat top. If we do come into these 30s, I think it has a reasonable catalyst to, you get really light volume in this consolidation. If you wanted to try it, I'd say clear out underneath 28s. You can give it a few more pennies uh, to the downside where 25s really could hold. So potentially would end up getting stopped out for this trade. But I'm not a fan of the candle that's coming in right here. ARM. You can see candle number 3, not giving the most increased volume, but if this does really get back going and leaves a nice looking green candle, as soon as this volume takes out 62, I think you're going to see continuation on this name. But no reason to think about selling this, in my opinion. And here we are reclaimed through 60s. So let's see what that 5 minutes looking like. You can see decreasing volume, decreasing volume. We got 2 minutes left on this indecision. It's trying to leave green volume. As soon as this takes out, call it 60-50. This really could get going. But if this next candle leaves that stair step, which is kind of discrediting it right now. Excuse me. So minute left. We'll see if this gives this flush for the stair step, but I think we're in this middle ground range where all it's going to take, and we are potentially going to get some increased volume. So if this wants to push at the tail end of this, Mr. Drift, man, I've been on mute this whole IPO, haven't I? Wow. Well, I will say that we are in on the ARM IPO, and we're watching the professionals trade it. They're punching short, they're punching long. They've flipped it uh, long and short. I don't know how many times, but I mean to catch you up. Anytime I'm playing an IPO, my goal is to buy the low. My goal is to buy the low. So we can go to a 1 minute and see there's just the price action. It shows you holds of 56. So what do? We buy 56. And as it's holding sideways right here, we just punch in and we ended up getting 73s. We have two fills on the name. Well, that ends up being a low. Had it gone lower, we would have said to ourselves that, yeah, we're going to keep trying to buy this low for this IPO. Well, now we have no outs to the upside. And now we probably are setting up for try to hold these 59s. If 59s can hold, beautiful. If 59s don't hold, we have nice increased volume. We have a pullback candle with a minute left. Looking at it as a retracement type of play, uh, I'd say your half, your 58 flat, your 57 half, and 57s look really good. Where maybe we can think about an ab. It's a little disappointing that my mic was muted for this whole ARM IPO. But we have no outs on the name. We're going to try and hold this and see if you can see the pullback candle has decreased volume. Let's get this retracement out of the way. But a nice consolidation period taking place. If we can get over 60.50, I would say that is your sort of breakout level. But the one thing that I try not to do with an IPO is to overthink. And once you get the entry, there's no need to really think about anything until, if this were to come back in to my entry. And these guys are sitting in short thinking that this is going to break down. And uh, they took original longs decent, and then they tried adding more to the long. They end up getting stopped out. They try the punch short. They end up getting stopped out. They try the punch long. They end up getting stopped out. They try the punch short. They end up getting stopped out. They try the punch long, and they end up getting stopped out. And now they just are probably getting ready to get stopped out of a short. Let's look at what this. Yep, none of them are in an arm long. When if this does end up panning out, none of these guys are going to be in a long. Where, yeah, you could say, well, I haven't taken any profits yet, but I haven't taken any losses yet either. Where that's just, maybe I'm just an average Joe. Maybe I just don't know anything about what I'm talking about, Drift. But we are gonna hold this IPO, and we can go look at what our average is. We got a 55.87 long, and it's funny to say because uh, there was a couple times on this period long where there was huge, I mean huge size, uh, to the upside that just would just get eaten up right away. And now getting this consolidation, we tested this the highs. We tested this 60.50. The high of this candle is 60.44. If this gets over 60.50, we think that we can see this candle start to shoom. Where if that is the case, and this is a trend that wants to hold, just mapping out these for a consolidation channel, I'd say now that we have some levels that we can go off of, and now let's look back over at the pros. None of them have a long as we're holding 60s. They've already exhausted themselves out trying to find out which way this is going to go, when had you just held your original entry, you're not worried about anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a crazy guy. Maybe I'm just, like I said, I'm just the average Joe. But if this gets a decisive break over 650 or 60.50, we think that this name has a potential to give a rip, where we will think about some outs from our breakout price. We got another 5% up towards those 65s that we can keep our eyes on. But this sideways consolidation, definitely more buying than selling. And Now we have one of the pros that has a long at 60.52. So I like where he has his long, and I think he's right on his decision making. But all it's going to take is for this to wick down underneath 60s, and I guarantee he gets stopped out, taking yet another losing trade. So if I were to pick a side, I'd actually want to see him get stopped out. Just for my personal liking, I want to see him get stopped out and then rip. I want to see him get stopped out, try to short it one more time, and then it rip. That's what I want to see. So maybe I'm the negative Nancy. And uh, man, this is why I can't do the short term. I can't do the short. Try to be on the right side at all times, at all given times. I just can't do it. But looking at CGC, I do think that this is a reasonable type of trade. If it can hold this level, I think your risk to reward is reasonable on a 128 break. But I don't think I'm going to try it. We hold it already in this ETF, and you can see the flat top being built on that. Let's go over to this arm trade. We're down 260, so I'd imagine he's going to be getting ready to get stopped out here. Which on our 15 minute, you can see the flat top being built right here. You can see this is getting very close to ripping. And now a red candle. And the pro himself just said, I'm not loving what I'm seeing right now. I don't think that this is ready to go. And he just got stopped out. He just got stopped out. He had 65 stops. He just lost 90 cents. 90 cents. So now exactly what I wanted to see. Now that he's stopped out, I feel a lot better about the long. I would just inverse him everywhere. And I would say punch long now that he's stopped out, and you're probably going to be sitting good. But this channel doesn't have enough conviction for me to call it a channel. But if it did catch a bid from here, I would just map out the lows, something like that. Map an ascending channel, something like that. And now getting the open of the next 5-minute candle. This is why I don't use a 5-minute candle either. I mean, if you look at your 15-minute, you still have 10 minutes left for this candle to really give you something that looks good. Uh, yeah, this is why you don't try to pick the right side of an IPO. It's a perfect example. It's a perfect example. But I'm not hating on you here, Drift, but it's sad to see that it's only Drift over here. And my mic was muted too, so I mean, uh, but we do have a beautiful entry on this ARM IPO. I don't know how long my mic was muted for, a long time. But it's what it is. We're gonna hold this ARM IPO as long as we can, and we'll look at this 65 level, almost $10 in the money. We will gladly start taking some profits up there, top end of the range. No size on 60s, and now reclaiming 60s. You can see this 15-minute candle really looks like it wants to push higher. But just holding the range. I mean, this guy takes this breakout trade, right? What his out 65s? 65s is a laughable. It's a where is your out at 65? There's nothing there. There's no execution of. You're just gambling. You're just gambling. Just a bunch of degenerate gamblers trying to pick the right side when you have no conviction one side or the other. At least I can sit back and say that I have some conviction that, we have really good volume right here. Our pullback volume has been light, sideways consolidation. All it takes is one sort of nice candle to come in, and you're going to see it a nice churn to the upside. And I don't know what to say about it. Looking elsewhere at some other names, we'll give this name a little bit more time. This 15-minute candle, I mean, it's showing you off of these open candles right here, because it was a little bit crazy, you can see the ascend, the tight. And now we talked about the stream earlier in the day, where these are the type of longs I want to see. I want to see, boom, breaks of green candles through these tight consolidation periods. We have 7 minutes for this to just continue trading in this channel, where eventually it's too much. It's got to give one way or the other. Where if it gives that red candle to the downside, you have this wick top to trade off of as a retracement, where the middle of that green move, the half, yeah, does the half have a chance? Maybe, but I'd say down here 58 to 57s, I think looks very good for a buying window. Or if we take this off and we just kind of roll over, you can see the top end of this channel. We map that through this level right here. You can see the build for an ascending channel right here. But looking back at the 5 minute, a decent candle that we see putting in right here. And we'll see which way that wants to go. But all in all, that's going to call it for the stream. I appreciate you tuning in, Drift, sticking around, and we'll see you on the stream tomorrow.